Welcome, welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here for this first Pomodoro Day, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Caron MacLane. I have known her, I think, about 3 years now, right, Caron? Has it been 3 years? Yeah, awesome, awesome. And I have never met a more excited person about speaking and about bringing her all, her total presence to speaking. And that's what we want to do when we're on the page. We want to be present, we want to be real, we want to be authentic, and we want to be clear. And Caron, am I going to hear my favorite tagline today from you? Am I? Please, please, please.
I'll add it.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to spotlight you and over to you.
Thank you so much, Rusty. It's a delight to be here and to see some familiar faces. So, how did you get up this morning? Because you see, when I get up, I am excited for my day. I'm just ready to embrace it because I'm the clarity coach. And I deal with people and clients like the National Park Service to help them get where they're going, their leadership teams. And I've been married to the same man for over 25 years in an evolving relationship. And I was the most requested ski instructor at Deer Valley Resort in Park City, Utah.
Nice.
I've also written a book, Teach Your 3-year-old to Ski. Because you see, 3-year-olds have a very precious place in my heart. 3 years old, that carefree age, they're so much fun and ready for life. Well, it was different for me. You see, I can remember when I was just 3 years old, lying in my great aunt's bed for the first night. It was morning. What was I supposed to do? Was somebody going to get me up? Was I supposed to get up? Mommy! Daddy! You see, I was too young to understand that my mother had been hospitalized with postpartum depression, that my father had left because my parents were divorced, and that my grandmother, my doting grandmother, was consumed in grief because her husband had died of suicide. All the feelings were just too much. I, I was unable to feel them. I was unable to understand them. I was numb. And year by year, I began to unpeel those layers. And the first person I found was me. Because you see, I had lost me. And the next, I was like, oh, I, I, I think I like this person, this me person. And then the next, I began to embrace her. And then where I am now, I love her. I love me. And so just think about how you get up in the morning. I'm the kind of person who likes exercise. And I'm the kind of person who likes my steps. And what I have found is that when I know myself better, it's easier for me to be creative. So the very first thing I recommend in knowing myself better is having an owner's manual. Yes, an owner's manual for you. And in that owner's manual, it can be virtual or it can be physical. Virtual sometimes means in my head, but in it goes, I'm the kind of person who, and whatever comes after that statement, so that you can begin to know yourself. So I'm the kind of person, like Rusty said, who has energy. I'm the kind of person who has excitement about life. Did you notice that? So I'm the kind of person who pays attention to what's going on and likes to be aware. And it's me who worked at Deer Valley Resort back in 1981 when they first opened, and I taught skiing. And what happened, because of the clientele and people had money, I had a lot of young children. And I was teaching 3-year-olds, and I'm like, okay, so how do I teach 3-year-olds? I mean, mind you, I was a fully certified instructor. So I had everything delineated for how to teach adults. 3 years old, adult, just a bit of a difference. And so I started feeling what was comfortable for me. And in what I was supposed to teach for adults, my knees were starting to ache. I'm like, oh, that's a problem. How can I ask a 3-year-old to do something that aches for me? So I started fooling around and I developed a technique. And I was teaching more than 3-year-olds, meaning younger than 3-year-olds too. So my youngest that I've ever taught to turn a ski is 22 months. And I realized that I had to be creative. I'm like, okay, well, I'm the kind of person who's willing to go out on a limb. I already knew I knew about skiing. Okay, I'm the kind of person who's willing to do new things. And with those, I'm the kind of person who I kept giving myself permission to step into a new creative zone. And I gave myself permission. And then the office called me and said, Caron, what's the youngest you'll take for a ski lesson? I said, I'll take anyone who's willing to pay. Because I'm the kind of person who is willing to stretch the lines. And that's what allowed me to say that. Mind you, they signed me up for a 9-month-old. They said, will you take a 9-month-old? And I said, only with both parents. And so I orchestrated it so it's just one parent to the next, and their sole purpose was to start their child early, and my sole purpose was to let them know that was too early. So creativity does have some boundaries. Yeah, 9 months, that's a boundary. So I came back to Washington and my home here in the greater Seattle area in Kent, Washington, and was teaching skiing here. And what I noticed is that they allowed 4-year-olds into a group lesson. They're unwilling to allow 3-year-olds, and people were unwilling to pay, and parents were going, you will have fun. I'm like, excuse me? Wait a minute, what? I never found that inviting myself. And I realized there was a niche for 3-year-olds. And why would I be attracted to that niche? Because I'm the kind of person who had a history as a 3-year-old. And I want to see that all 3-year-olds have more attention than I received. It took me a while to put all that together, but as I gave myself permission, I moved with it. And so I wrote the book, and I realized it has a lot of what I consider tribal knowledge. And tribal knowledge is information that everyone who's teaching skiing knows some of it, but I put it all in one place. So creativity is related to my own clarity about me. And it does start for me with the owner's manual. Now, after the owner's manual, there are assessments that you can take, like the Myers-Briggs or the Jung typology. And I'm uncertain if you're aware of it, but you can do that for free. And you can go into personality. Oh, I might have to wait and send you this one. First, it's something like personalitypage.com. And so they have specific things where there's a big dissertation about, or a big description about people who are any of the 16, Myers-Briggs options. And so my invitation to you is to learn more about you so that you know I'm the kind of person who. So like today, I'm the kind of person who likes to have my body ready to go before I start. So right before this, I'm doing steps so that I can get my body energized. And right before this, I made sure I was fed, well rested. Well rested and well fed is always part of making things work for me. And I'm the kind of person who is easily distracted. So I want to take those distractions that are 30-second things to do. I want to take those right off my list. Bye-bye. So that I can carve out my space. Because I have a hurdle in my space. And once I get past that hurdle, I'm on. I can go. So clarity about yourself can relate and add to your own creativity. And after we finish, Rusty says we're having time for questions. But until then, this is Caron MacLane, the Clarity Coach. Get clear and let's get on with it.
Yay, there's my favorite tagline. Thank you, Caron. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. So a couple of things I heard that I wanted to mention too is that permission for us to be real and on the page. And hey, Esther, thank you for having lunch with us. That's great. I see you there. So Caron, this permission in this owner's manual, I'd like to know a little bit more about the owner's manual and how we can translate that into our creativity. That's one of my questions. And then everyone else just, pop off mic and ask a question when you're ready there.
Well, Rusty, it's more like what I said. It's just like when I own this part of me, really own it, then I give myself permission to be it.
Yeah. And I think that really
Until
ties
that, I'm
in.
wandering around like going,
Yeah.
okay, well, that person's that and that person's. When they define me, I'm like, oh, they're different than me. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, great. Well, how can I learn from that? How do I want to interface with that? It's the owning it and giving myself permission.
Mm-hmm. And I think that also what you mentioned too about getting rid of the 30-second tasks, I find that I'm a bit different than you. Maybe somebody else will identify with you or me, or maybe both. We can do it both ways. But I can actually fill up a day with 30-second tasks and never get to the big things. And the 30-second tasks are fun. And I get a little dopamine hit about wiping them off my list. I see Mary smiling. So I actually have to put the 30-second tasks off to the end and put them out of my radar and then tackle the big frogs first. There's a book by Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. And for me, that really works about eating the biggest frog first, because then I'm like on fire and then it's a reward to do the 30-second task. But I wonder how many here might be distracted by those 30-second tasks waiting, and it's the other way around for them. Anyone? Any comments? Dale's
It's
reaching.
okay to speak.
Yeah, Dale's reaching maybe for the unmute, or no comments. Okay, Bill, you've got something. I know you got something.
Well, one of the models I learned real early in my life, was having a big container, and it needed to be a glass container. And when you have rocks to put in it, put the big rocks in first, then the gravel, then the sand, then the water. And if you do it the wrong way around, you can't get it all in. So I think there's something about that's the biggest chunk. Get those big ones out of the way, get your focus on them, and then you can fill the other stuff in around it pretty easily. And because I'm a systems guy, that CDO thing, that's OCD in alphabetical order. That for me is a driving force in my life. So it makes it absolutely work. So I'm with you. Like, do the big stuff, because if you don't get to it.
Yeah.
So Rusty, let me just clarify. So I do anything that's going to niggle me before the big test. So
yeah.
So say I have a time, I set a time for the big. I know that the frog is going to be the most important. I also want to get anything that my mind could use as a distraction out of the way. So I just go, I'm the kind of person who I want to do the frog first. I'm the kind of person, and you just give your permission. There's nothing that says that you're the kind of person like me. I hardly would expect that. I'm saying some ideas so that you can put your own terms on you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Excellent.
So that you can go, oh, she labeled that about herself. What is that like for me?
Yeah. Excellent. And I think that you also gave me another idea when you were talking about the owner's manual, is that there are there's a writing exercise I've used with some people about writing your own treaty, your own declaration, a declaration, something that you declare. And I think it could be a really neat exercise to write an owner's manual for oneself. That could be a really cool thing to do. An owner's manual for my soul, like Dale's writing about the invitation to connect with our soul. That could be a really cute, not cute, I don't like that word. That could be a very clear prompt to write to about what is your owner's manual, because we're all different inside. And I think it's perfect what you're saying, is to give ourselves permission to be different and unique. It was Michael Beckwith, I think he said, the most amazing thing is that we are all born originals. The saddest thing is too many of us die as copies.
Good. I like that. I love that.
Yeah. Does somebody have a comment? Anne, did you want to comment on something?
Who said that quote that you just said?
Michael Beckwith. Beck, with, as in with. So any other questions or comments for Caron?
Esther, are you having one? Are you moving forward to our question?
Yeah, I am. It was so nice to see you and hear a little bit of your story that I hadn't heard before. So thank you for that. And thanks for Rusty for allowing me to have lunch with you all.
I'm glad you did. I'm so glad you did. That's awesome. Awesome.
So Rusty, if anyone would like to reach out to me, I will give you a couple of links that you can get free assessments. And my email is Caron, you see my name here, CARON, at claritycoachcaron.com.
I would like to take a moment to say thank you so very much to Caron for showing up and sharing our lunchtime with us. Yes, let's do the jazz hands. Thank you. Thank you. And Caron, have a great rest of your day.